Self-improvement. What is self-improvement? Self-improvement means getting away from evil and getting closer to good. Tip. It is hard to get good, but it is easy to get bad. Example. Getting better is like moving from the bottom of the mountain to the top of the mountain, which is very difficult, and getting sick is like moving from the top of the mountain to the bottom of the mountain, which is very easy. In terms of time, man needs a lot of time to get better, but he does not need time to get worse. Tip. The best period for human beings to get better is the period of youth. Because the period of youth is a strong man, and in order to be good, he must fight the evils within himself and not do them. For this reason, the best period is the period of youth. Tip. It is very difficult to get well, and if someone wants to be a good person in other periods, such as old age, it becomes more difficult. To get on the right track, we need the following. Number 1. Fight the evils within yourself. Number 2. Take advantage of our inner goodness and make them stronger. Number 3. Be brave in this path. Do not be disappointed. Number 4. The best companion in this path is the wife. Number 5. In this way, you need someone to show you the way and guide you. Question. How to find help? Answer. The best guide for this path is to recognize the evils within yourself and cure them. After treatment, we should avoid the bad and try to put the good inside us, that is, in our heart, and strengthen them and use the good inside you for yourself and those around you. Tip. Try to be like an energetic circle in which only goodness is placed, and reinforce the good with the energy of the circle. Example for recognizing evils. Every human being who gets sick must first know the disease and then think about treatment. Tip. Try to choose from your friends the one who is the best and guide you in the right direction. Try to choose a good wife for marriage to guide each other in a good way. Tip. Every human being after birth is like water, clear and clean, and we must be careful not to contaminate this clear and clean water with bad deeds. Tip. Every human being must face evil and strengthen good in himself. Know that there is a good and a bad force inside every human being. By selecting each, that force is strengthened. Tip. The best friend of every human being is his good, and the worst friend of every human being is his bad. Tip. Reaching the top of goodness has many efforts that accompany every human being throughout his life. Example. Hard physical exercise is essential for good health and vitality. There must be hardships in training the soul. General note. Doing good deeds is hard and doing bad deeds is easy. Tip. Sin is a kind of mental illness. All moral vices are a sign that the human soul is infected with dangerous moral viruses. A corrupt target has a corrupt act. Tip. One of the things that bad people do not feel is the pollution inside them, and they do not feel at all whether it is right or not. The heart of such people is hardened by doing bad deeds, and they do not feel anything. Tip. Know that all human beings have two enemies. Number 1. Evil within yourself. Number 2. Devils. Tip. The way of the devil is to hide the pain and cover up the mental illness and conceal the moral disease of man, so that he does not think of reforming himself and is constantly in the possession of the devil as a prey. We need to look more closely at ourselves and evaluate our own actions and spirits. Tip: it is impossible for God to enter our hearts unless it is physically and spiritually cleansed within us. Tip: the power of will and choice can work miracles, as long as human beings do not use them in a bad way. We must manage ourselves physically and mentally to become our own boss. Tip: the heart can also be the home of a lover and the captive of a love. Instead of all fears, we can just put fear of God so that we do not do bad things, and instead of all hopes, we can only have hope in God to continue to purify ourselves, and between the two states of fear and hope, such we must live so that we do not become frustrated and proud. Tip: by calculating and taking care of our work during the day, we can realize how far we have come from bad and approached well. Tip: do not be satisfied with a drop of good sea and look for a good sea. Tip: there are two effects of getting better. Number 1. Individual effect. Number 2. Social effect. The individual work is divided into 3 parts. Number 1. Victory and salvation. One of the consequences of not doing bad deeds is to achieve goodness and eternal happiness, and it should be known that complete and absolute happiness is not achieved for human beings unless he distances himself from all bad traits and approaches all good traits and good deeds. Number 2. Correction of the world and the world after death. Whoever corrects between himself and God, God will correct between him and the people, and whoever corrects the affairs of the world after death, God will reform the affairs of his life, and whoever has a good soul from within and when Najim has done a bad deed so that he does not do a bad deed, God protects him. Tip: correction between oneself and God means that every human being gets closer to God by not doing bad deeds and doing good deeds. His distance from God decreases. Tip: he will explain about the afterlife in the next videos. Number 3. Reaching God. Another benefit of not doing bad things is getting closer to God. Short story. God said to Moses, "O Moses, those who approach me are like staying away from evil deeds. I give them my lasting paradises and I do not associate anyone with them." Please support me by subscribing, liking, activating notifications for future videos, your comments, and introducing this channel to your friends.